Vatican City, smaller than a city park, yet it commands global attention. From this enclave in Rome, the Pope leads over 1 billion Catholics, shaping spiritual, ethical, and diplomatic conversations worldwide. Its influence isn't built on armies or wealth, but on moral authority and centuries of history. The Pope's words echo in the halls of power, influencing leaders and individuals across continents. To understand this paradox, we must journey back to ancient Rome, where Christianity began as a persecuted faith. The Vatican's power was forged not by conquest, but by the conviction and sacrifice of its earliest followers. Let's begin in the catacombs of Rome, where a new faith was about to change the world forever. The papacy's roots trace back to Simon Peter, a Galilean fisherman chosen by Jesus to be the foundation of his church. After Jesus' crucifixion, Peter led a small Christian community in Rome, facing relentless persecution. Under Emperor Nero, Peter was martyred and buried on Vatican Hill, marking the site as sacred. Despite oppression, Christianity flourished, inspired by the courage of its martyrs. The Bishop of Rome, as Peter's successor, gradually gained authority over other bishops, an idea known as papal primacy. Early popes led from the shadows, their influence spiritual rather than political. Everything changed in the 4th century when Emperor Constantine legalized Christianity and built the first St. Peter's Basilica. Imperial support transformed the church into a powerful institution, setting the stage for the Pope's rise to temporal power. The seeds of a spiritual empire, sown in martyrdom, began to blossom under imperial favor. As the Western Roman Empire collapsed, popes stepped in to fill the void, organizing relief and negotiating with invaders. Pope Leo the Great famously persuaded Attila the Hun to spare Rome, cementing the Pope's role as both spiritual leader and protector. In 756 AD, the donation of Pepin granted the Pope vast territories, creating the Papal States and making him a temporal monarch. For centuries, popes ruled as both kings and spiritual heads, wielding immense influence over European rulers. They could excommunicate monarchs, launch crusades, and act as supreme arbiters in Christendom. Yet this worldly power brought corruption and criticism, as popes became entangled in politics and wealth. The focus on temporal power often overshadowed spiritual leadership, fueling calls for reform. The Papal States made the Pope a powerful king, but also drew the Church into the turbulence of European politics. This dual role would eventually lead to dramatic challenges and the downfall of papal kingdoms. The stage was set for a new era of conflict and transformation. The 19th century brought revolution and nationalism, threatening the Papal States. Italian unification, led by Garibaldi and King Victor Emmanuel II, squeezed the papal territories until only Rome remained. In 1870, Italian troops entered Rome, ending the Papal States and making the city Italy's capital. Pope Pius IX, refusing to recognize the new regime, declared himself a prisoner in the Vatican. For nearly 60 years, popes remained isolated, refusing to acknowledge Italian authority. The Vatican became an island of papal power surrounded by a unified Italy. Stripped of temporal rule, the popes focused on strengthening spiritual authority, defining doctrines like papal infallibility. Despite losing their kingdom, they retained the loyalty of millions worldwide. The world watched as the standoff, known as the Roman Question, dragged on, awaiting a resolution. The papacy's future would depend on finding a new role in a rapidly changing world. The answer would come through diplomacy, not war. The deadlock between Italy and the papacy persisted until the 1920s, destabilizing both church and state. In 1929, Pope Pius VII and Mussolini reached a historic compromise, the Lateran Treaty. The treaty recognized Vatican City as an independent state, guaranteeing the Pope's sovereignty. The Church gained special status in Italy, and the Holy See received financial compensation for lost lands. The Pope was no longer a prisoner, but the monarch of the world's smallest nation. Vatican City now had its own flag, anthem, passports, and the right to conduct diplomacy. The Lateran Treaty ingeniously solved the problem of papal independence with the smallest possible territory. The papacy emerged as a unique sovereign entity focused on spiritual and diplomatic influence rather than territorial power. This tiny state would become a global player, not through land or armies but through faith and diplomacy. The Vatican was reborn for the modern era. With sovereignty secured, the Vatican embraced a new era of global engagement. The Holy See maintains diplomatic relations with over 180 countries, its envoys acting as moral voices on the world stage. The Pope leads 1.3 billion Catholics but also speaks out on global issues: peace, human rights, poverty, and the environment. Modern popes have mediated conflicts, challenged world leaders, and inspired action on behalf of the marginalized. The Vatican's influence is soft power, shaping conversations, mobilizing opinion, and acting as a neutral broker in international affairs. As a permanent observer at the UN, the Holy See participates in debates on disarmament, development, and justice. Its diplomatic corps is renowned for quiet, long-term efforts to foster dialogue and reconciliation. The Vatican's unique blend of spiritual leadership and diplomatic activism makes it a micro-state with macro impact. Its true power lies in appealing to conscience and mobilizing a global network for the common good. In a world of conflict and materialism, the Vatican stands as a testament to the enduring influence of faith. Vatican City is not just a spiritual and political center, it's a cultural treasure trove. The Vatican Museum's house masterpieces by Giotto, Raphael, Leonardo, and Caravaggio, telling the story of faith and creativity. St. Peter's Basilica, with Michelangelo's dome, is a marvel of architecture and a symbol of spiritual aspiration. The Sistine Chapel, adorned with Michelangelo's frescoes, remains one of humanity's greatest artistic achievements. This sacred space still hosts the Papal Conclave, linking art and governance. In 1984, Vatican City was named a UNESCO World Heritage Site, recognizing its universal value. Its libraries and archives preserve priceless manuscripts that chronicle human history. The Vatican's cultural legacy is a gift to all humanity, preserving the memory and masterpieces of our past. Here, faith and creativity intertwine, inspiring millions across generations. Vatican City stands as a symbol of the enduring relationship between belief, history, and human achievement.